the event that that guy made,
Mhm.
his name is James. He made a place like this, but where a containment breach happened and all the anomalies escaped. And he sent the researchers in, the ones that don't have guns. And he did a lot of work with lighting, with like fog effects. He had dead bodies on the floor. So using the fact that he made the world, he was able to.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and we got one hell of a guest today, and that is.
Hi, I'm Lex.
Hello. Thank you very much, Lex, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on. What is it you're most known for, and how'd you get started?
Uh, Probably most known for running the SCP-foundation of VRChat for the past 5 years. Uh, Getting started was actually kind of funny because I just made like an avatar, and back then when the avatar cloning was first introduced, I gave it to a friend who then left his cloning on, and then the model kind of spread, and then someone approached me asking if I would want to help him with a project
Hmm.
that he wants to do an NRP community based on the SCP universe. So I said that won't even last a week, but I'm in. And kind of lasted 5 years now, so I was kind of wrong on that.
Hmm. That's actually a pretty awesome way to get involved with a roleplay community. How did you get into VR chat in the first place, may I ask?
Oh, that was back in January of 2018.
Hmm.
I was running out of things to do, just came out of school, and yeah, I just saw the funny YouTube videos of the Knuckles running around all over the place, so I wanted to see it for myself. And then uh, the first public lobby I joined, it was Uganda.
Hmm.
It was chaotic, so I went somewhere else. It was a great park. And then I saw someone in VR picking up like just a glass of a drink, and my brain was blown that someone actually like picked something up with their hands and held it. And then I just got a VR headset, and that's how it started.
Wow. So, what was the early?
Question for him, Lion.
Shoot.
Okay, since when you started in VR, you said you saw Knuckles, but what's the weirdest thing you saw since you've been in VR and you had to run from it? You just, nope, that's not for me. I'm out of here.
Uh, I kind of got used to the weirdness, so there's not much that would make me run from a place, but I think the weirdest one. Actually, can't think of anything right now. I know that there's something, but
It's all right.
can't think of it right now. Sorry.
Don't be. It's okay.
Oh, that's cool.
What was the early
Yeah.
days of the SCP Foundation like, and what were you imagining it would become back then?
The early days was just a bunch of like messing around in public worlds. Um, and back then everybody was in public worlds, so sometimes you run into other SCP avatars, and then you would just have a little impromptu roleplay with them, or just people would interact with you, and that's how more people came into the group. So that at some point we made a Discord server. But I never imagined it to actually grow into something that big. Right now we have 2,500 people.
Wow.
And back then I thought it would just be something that we do for maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. Then we'd get bored of it, and yeah. So never expected to be here.
Wow. For such a long time. Now, what is the role play like? Do you have like a set story you follow, or is it a bunch of random events? How does that all work, may I ask?
We do have a set story. Like we have like major plot points, and then like filler episodes in between. But we always like we let the community create the events. So we always look through them and decide if an event it fits the story or not. And if it does, then we approve it, and then we run it as a filler episode. And that's the way we connect the major plot points to each other.
Hmm. So I do know SCP from what you told me as well, is an entire like genre in and of itself. How closely do you follow the SCP universe, Mask? If not, like, do you guys like do your own offshoot of it?
We follow it a little bit. We take the structure of the SCP-Foundation. We take like the MTF units, the researchers, internal security, and the names as well, and everything, so that we don't need to reinvent the entire wheel. But when it comes to the anomalies and the lore in of itself, we make it our own thing, so that like there's no metagaming. Like otherwise, let's say you have an anomaly, you can just look up on the SCP wiki. Then what's the point in even researching it? So that's where we make all the stuff ourselves. So yeah, we are an offshoot of the actual thing, but we are not connected to the actual thing in any way.
Okay.
I
So
got a question for him, Line.
shoot.
How long does it usually take when you get ready from start to finish to set up an event?
Depends. I must say sometimes things get quite hectic and we literally get started in the last hour before the event is supposed to start. But usually we put the schedule out every Monday, and then there's an entire week of planning, and most people plan their own events for like the past few weeks or months. So they just insert them whenever they're ready. So
Okay.
yeah, sometimes you only have hours, sometimes an event has been cooking for months.
Okay.
Okay.
So would you mind walking us through what like a typical event would be like? What would happen, or what would some like how would you drive in plot points? Because I'm kind of interested myself. How would one roleplay SCP?
That always depends on the unit that we deploy. If a mission is made for the researchers, then there's almost no combat in it because they're not a combat unit. They focus more on talking to NPCs, figuring out why an anomaly is happening, if it's anomalous and stuff. So they do a lot of talking, a lot of puzzling. But when we send in the mobile task force units, then depending on the unit, like New 7, for example, they may get airdropped directly into a combat zone and have to extract an anomaly from an active war zone where two factions, like two nations, are fighting each other that don't even know that the anomaly is there. So that's something that can happen more. If you send in Zeta 9, their entire thing is to remain undetected, so they might not talk to anyone at all because they stealthily kill everyone, and then extract without the enemy noticing they're there. So can't really give structure because it depends on who is going in.
So I have a question. You've mentioned Zeta 9 as someone you'd send out. How many different groups are there you could send out, and what are they? And yeah, I'll start with that.
So currently we have 4 mobile task force units, Epsilon 11 for containing anomalies and capturing them and bringing them back to the site location. We have Nu 7 for fighting other groups that involve themselves in the anomalies that are not friendly with us. Zeta 9 originally planned for exploration and assisting the researchers, but they have since branched off of that, and now they're more involved in Black Ops operations and just staying undetected, off the book stuff. And experimental weapons. Imagine them as the Division or Ghost Recon. And then we have Iota 9, which is our own creation of an MTF unit. They are the Veil Wardens. They keep the Foundation secret and hidden from public eye. But a second task they also have is they combat everything that is occult in nature, or ghosts, gods, magic, like fantasy stuff. They actually, some of the operators actually have like tactical gear, but like medieval knight armor added onto it. And they have like their pistol on their side, their rifle on their back, and a sword on the other side. So that looks really cool, to be honest. I really like them. They also use potions and blessed swords which can kill ghosts and demons and stuff. And we have the researchers. They, like I said, they don't do combat. They figure stuff out. They talk to people. The most stuff they do is during our social events, which we call on-site RPs, where everyone is like on the base, on the site location, and they are studying the anomalies in the containment chambers and creating documents for the MTF to follow. And then we have the security forces, internal security, or site guards. They don't go out on mission because internal security, so they just stay at the base, make sure that everything is fine, and make sure that everybody else is following the Foundation rules. So they basically have police RP. They can ticket people, they can arrest people, but the thing that they do the most is make sure that the researchers are safe and that the anomalies don't break out in the first place.
Okay. So you mentioned you made one of these up yourself to fit in the roleplay. What led to the creation of that group, and what was the general reception when you first introduced it?
So there is a unit on the SCP wiki which is called IOTA 10. They are they do government related stuff, like make sure that the Foundation is not tracked by any government organization, and that if the government is already responding to an anomaly that they shouldn't be know about, then IOTA 10 would handle that. And the guy who actually created the unit, he went on a bathroom break while I was working on the model for it, and he was on a Dark Souls binge, like he was playing Dark Souls the entire time, and when he came back he said, you know what, we need to put knight armor on them, that would look really cool. So I did it and I agreed, and that's how we came to IOTA 9. The original reception was not very positive at first, because modern military gear with knight armor and swords and guns, when you hear about it the first time, it doesn't really match, but once you learn about it and see what they actually do with it, then people started to warm up to the idea, and now it's one of our most unique things we are known for.
So when you get with the members both new and ones who've been with you for a while, what are some of their favorite places to roleplay within the SCP Foundation?
Most people prefer the mobile task force military stuff because combat. So that's what people mostly gravitate towards. We have a lot of people that come from the mil-sim aspect of roleplay, so they gravitate towards the more heavily armed units like Nu-7 with their tanks and aircrafts and heavy weaponry, or Zeta 9 with their experimental tech and stealth operations. So that's where most of the people are currently gravitating towards too.
Okay. So what has
Question
been...
line.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
Okay, when you're having an event and everything else like this, how many people actually show up for those events? Is it the full crew or is it just partial? You know, sometimes when you play D&D and stuff like this, sometimes you don't get the whole team there all at setup. So, you know, you have those loose ends. But how many people have you actually had in one event show up? I'm curious.
So obviously we can't get all 2,500 people into a world, and all those people don't show up. Like, obviously most are inactive. But sometimes, depending on the day, like Saturday events, the main events, we do get like sometimes full lobbies, 80 people. Sometimes we even have to split lobbies for our on-site social RPs because it's just full. Sometimes we have to contact a world creator to like last minute raise the player count for us. Most of them actually do that.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
Okay.
so sometimes it's
That's cool.
difficult managing all the people. That's actually becoming a problem, because if you have like 80 plus models in the world, all of them with guns and particle systems and audio and stuff, plus the admins flying around and the NPC actors, then you need a pretty good system for like the bigger units when they have an event.
How do you manage all those people
Okay.
within your group for events or even as a Discord? Is it difficult to keep the whole thing managed and running smoothly?
At the moment, we have it set up so that every single aspect of the roleplay, like every unit, every department, like researchers and security, even the actors and event planners, they all have their own admin that leads them. And all of those admins report back to the O5, the head admins. And yeah, so basically it's a lot of people managing their little bubble of the server, who then report back to us once a week, and that's how we manage.
Wow. So actually, I'll start with this. What is the main story for the SCP Foundation you've explored and had thus far? Because I'm kind of curious what your main story is like.
At the moment, our main story is, I have to think. So at the moment, we have problems with the US government because in SCP law, the FBI has a unit that deals with anomalous stuff, the Unusual Incidents Units, FBI UIU. And in our story, their leader is going a little bit corrupt, using FBI funds to capture anomalies for himself, sell them on the black market. And that's currently what we're letting the players figure out by giving like little lore drops with like documents recovered from the FBI. We have 2 of their agents currently in custody that have spoken out a bit. So that's where the current story is. But there are also other organizations that are also currently pushing a little against us. So we are currently not on an offensive, but also not on a defensive. We are currently managing the different organizations. So that's currently our point in the story.
Okay. So how long has this main story been going on for? Like problems with the US government and trying to figure out all of that. How long has that been playing out for?
Since 2020, when we started our current canon. We've been through many events, like we already had World War III, which is coming to an end, which was accidentally started by an anomalous organization and us, the Foundation. We accidentally nuked the US with one of our submarines, which we managed to like downplay. So a lot of plot points happened so far.
Oh wow. So that's actually pretty interesting. What was that from 2020? Was that like your first start of the main story point, or from when you said the beginning were very sporadic and sparse?
Yeah, so in 2019, we were making like just public world stuff, like running around. We had an internal incident at the end of 2019 where like we had to restart the entire server. We just had to start from ground up. And in the meantime, there were more people using my models, and we're actually making their own group. So we merged with them. And then we decided to make like an actual canon, an actual story, actual events, everything planned instead of just running around in public worlds. Especially since 2020 was like the time where like all the crashers came in and bad things happened. So that's when we decided to go private.
Okay. So how, if you have all those people playing for a main story point and you're trying to follow this main line, how do you manage all the actions of players in order to run the story? Because it sounds difficult. They have like a full lobby of people, each doing independent things, trying to manage. Sounds like a DM nightmare.
It is a nightmare. It is definitely a nightmare. That's why we have multiple DMs flying around in a session, trying to capture as many information as we can. But at the end of a session, players fill for a medical report so that they can get medical attention once they're back at base. And other things will get documented by the unit leads as well. So that's how we piece all the puzzles together. And then, like, once every few months, we add to our list of missions that we already had, which should get updated soon. But it's like a really it's a channel with a lot of information, so there's a lot to read. If someone has the right security clearance, that is.
Ah, fair. So something we've talked with other people who use military sims and stuff, as you said, proper clearance. What kind of ranking structure do you have for your players, and how would one climb through those ranks then to get the clearance to read those documents?
So the security clearance is not based on in-character stuff. It's based on how much you're trusted by the admin team. So usually you start out at 0, and then 1 and 2 are given to you at some point when you ask, or sometimes with your in-character rank up promotion as well. But then level 3 and 4, you have to specifically ask for them, and they will then get voted on by the O5, the head admins. And yeah, you can basically rank up to level 4, because level 5 is you see everything, and that is O5, the head admins.
Okay. So for from 1 to 5, what does each rank do within the organization?
Oh, the security clearance rank, they don't do anything. The in-character ranks are the ones that you want to progress.
Okay.
And we don't follow like an actual military rank structure. We have like, well, you basically start at the beginning. Depending on in which department you are, it has a different name. For the MTF, it would be MTF cadet. For the researchers, it would be intern researchers, and for the security forces, it would be officer candidate. And all of them have the same amount of ranks, just different names.
Okay. So
and then at a certain rank, you get part of the command structure.
Oh, okay.
So you have your base rank. So if you're just like a guy who sometimes shows up, you have your base rank, and that's it. But if you show initiative, then a unit lead might put you in charge for a mission, and if you lead the mission well, then they might put you higher in the ranks, and that's how you gain leadership status within your unit. And if you get like recognized by the rest of the admins, then you might get an admin position as well.
Wow. So a question I'd like to ask in terms of like SCP lore, within your roleplay, what SCPs or anomalies have you introduced so far, and what have been some of the players or your personal favorites that you've had introduced?
A player's favorite would be I don't really know the number that we gave it out of the top of my head because there's so many, but it's like a blue little snake, like a little snake avatar that's blue, and its anomalous property is that it has the intelligence to be called by its name and it will come to you, and it emits heat, so it can warm up a room if it's cold. In the mission that they were found in, the MTF unit that was discovering them actually killed one of them to make boots out of them because it was so cold. They come from a different dimension. It's a whole story. But that's a favorite of many.
Okay. So what about your own personal favorite then? Do you have any favorites that you've seen introduced?
Oh, my own personal favorite. That's tough. I don't think I really have one. They're all pretty good. There's one, we call it the Candyman. It's like a guy who got turned into candy. He was just a regular worker in a candy factory, fell into a tank. When he was pulled out by his colleagues, he was like candy. And every person he touches turns into candy and dies. He's the only one who lives. And he's currently in our custody, and he's my favorite because players actually like feel sorry for him when they hear his story, when they read his file, because it's just a regular dude who had an accident and now has to live with the fact that everything he touches dies. And himself, he's in pain. Like the guy who plays him, he makes sure that he always like screams, even when nobody's around, so that you hear like the screams through the walls. That's definitely
wow.
my favorite.
Wow. So it kind of sounds like that old parable of uh the king who everything he touches turns to gold. Has like that kind of vibe about it.
Touch.
Yeah.
The golden touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this
Oh.
is a candy touch.
So, have you ever pulled any of the SCPs from regular lore, or is they all created in house?
We try to avoid that as much as possible. For the time being, we only have, I think, a single one, which is, I hope I get the number right, 294, the coffee machine, or the vending machine, where you can enter whatever you want and it gives you the liquid form of it. Like, you
wow.
enter a cup of Joe and it takes the nearest person that is called Joe, liquefies them, and hands you a cup of them.
Ah, okay. So,
We once asked for a Monster Energy drink and it gave us a Monster Energy can, and when we opened it, there was like a tentacle coming out because there was a monster inside.
Holy shit. My God. Well, you could say that was a heavy drink that just wanted to probe you before you got it all down. Well, I never thought of looking at a canned monster drink like now I'm gonna crack it open and look at it going, it's gonna come out?
Definitely
Oh, okay, I'm
energizing.
safe. Yeah, energizing the hard way, yeah. My God.
Indeed. So then, since everything is created in house in terms of like the SAPs, where does some of when they're created, what were some of the inspirations for them then? Like the little blue snake that heats up rooms, the Candyman. Where were those inspirations pulled from normally?
I don't really know because everyone can make their own anomaly and just get them approved, and if they fit our standards, then we allow that. Usually we don't allow stuff that is unkillable and is just here because the thing wants to be here, because if it's unkillable and doesn't have any negative effects, like any downsides, then it's not fun to fight against. So we always make sure that it has at least some weak spots that can be exploited. But sometimes I know that sometimes people pull stuff from like anime or TV shows or video games. But in general, I don't know where people pull their inspirations from. It could be anything.
Okay. So were there any anomalies or SCPs that was introduced that were the most memorable or caused the most chaos within the roleplay, may I ask? What were those events like?
I think the most chaos got caused by Master Chief himself. Because there was an anomaly that it's a book. You basically write whatever fictional character you want to become real into the book, and it appears. So I don't even know if it was Master Chief. I don't really know Halo lore, but an entire Halo fire team appeared as well, and they broke him out, and that was a lot of chaos because they had all their abilities, like armor locking, cloaks, shields. We had to evacuate the entire place.
Oh wow. So what how did the Halo universe get pulled into the book? Did one of the players just write Halo in it, or was it like something that was pre-planned to happen?
I don't really know, to be honest, because uh, I wasn't there when they did that, so I don't know how that happened. I just know that someone wrote it into the book and it happened.
Okay. So how many other interesting events happened within roleplays that you can remember, may I ask? Because I'd love to hear some of the interesting things that's happened within roleplays and events.
Mm, We had FNAF-like animatronics.
Mm.
Of course, we didn't like one-to-one copy them, but spring lock suits, someone gets put inside, stuff like that. We had to like walk around the entire place and find little animatronics. And if we wouldn't have found them in time, then we would have to. Then the event planner would have started a timer from midnight to 6 a.m. and we had to survive.
Oh wow. Interesting.
That is like the most memorable from the most recent times. But there were other ones where like people infiltrated the site and nobody noticed. People escaped from the site and nobody noticed. We had an anomaly that we didn't know could go invisible, so it went invisible, and like every time when someone went through a security door, I just followed through, and then put on security guard gear and tried to walk out. But then there was just floating security guard gear trying to walk around, and that's how we caught them.
Ah, interesting. So, were there any infamous moments within the roleplay community, ones that have kind of left permanent references within your community?
Yes, and actually it's not from an anomaly. It's one of the operatives from Zeta 9. They had a little bit too much of everything that was going on. They went a little bit insane. So they grabbed a fire extinguisher off a wall, walked up to the captain, like the leader of Iota 9, and just started chugging down the hose of the fire extinguisher and just started eating it in front of him. So they had to tackle him down and remove the fire extinguisher. So it even got recently added as a law that you're not allowed to eat firefighting equipment. Yeah, that's something everyone remembers.
Oh my god! Hey, I want to play this game. Why? I got hunger and I didn't eat a fire extinguisher. What'd you eat? Hey, I was hungry for the hard hat, the fire hat. You know, it just looked good. Just want to gnaw on it.
What led to that player eating a fire extinguisher? Because it sounds very unique.
He just saw so many people die, get eaten, get dismembered, and he never went to get a psych eval. So he developed some kind of mental disorder that went untreated, of course in character, and then started eating the fire extinguisher. There was another moment when someone who was relatively new at that point opened the door to the cafeteria, didn't realize they had a flashbang in their hand. So when they opened the door, they accidentally threw it inside and flashbanged everybody in the room. And to this day, they still have their call sign Operator Flashbang.
Oh, God.
They're not living this down. Like, they're always being reminded.
I'm sure, especially if they received a nickname from it.
That's how they check in at the front desk. They walk up, show their ID. Yeah, I'm Operator Flashbang checking in.
Oh, God. Holy criminy.
Wow. So
that is, yeah. I have nothing to say, because if I say it's gonna just go ballistically stupid.
Fair. Well, I'll ask this.
Hey, Flashbang, stay out of the shitter. We don't want it to go up this week like you did last week.
So, you've mentioned a few times now as the laws that people have, Foundation law. What are they, may I ask?
So the Foundation laws are purely in character. So we obviously have server rules that everyone needs to follow. But the Foundation laws are like the in-character laws, like don't free the anomalies, don't reveal our existence to anyone, simple stuff like that. But sometimes we have to introduce more special laws based on things that have happened, like do not harbor Middle Eastern dictators in your personal space, which includes the lockers. It happened.
Oh, wait.
Someone hit Saddam Hussein in their locker.
Wait, hold on. Why did they stick Saddam Hussein in their locker? How did he fit?
I don't know. I only remembered opening the door and the locker door, and he was inside. So no, that's outlawed.
Fair.
But yeah, most of the
Boy.
laws are really general stuff, like don't 3D anomalies, don't point guns at everyone, don't like accidentally discharge your weapon, don't injure people, don't kill civilians for no reason, stuff like that. Because at the end we are still like secure, contain, protect. So
Okay.
we need to keep that in mind. And the security officers, the ISD, Internal Security Department, they enforce the laws during the on-sites or social RPs, and they can arrest or ticket people as they see fit if they've broken those rules.
So I mean this only in jest, but when technically you being on the show count as you letting others know of SCP Foundation's existence?
I'll take that as a no. Hold your breath and count to 5. After that, the big bang goes. Oh, that's flashbang. Yeah, gotcha.
I mean that only as jest. I don't mean that in all seriousness.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, we make sure that it gets censored accordingly.
Of course. And then across the entire thing, I'll just do a 1 hour and a half minute of a blacked out censored.
And a lot of peep towns.
Peep towns.
Yeah, like when someone says an insult, the beep, so that you don't hear it on television.
Yeah. Those. Well, I'll just do an hour and a half of an image of classified, and nothing will show up. It'll just be an hour and a half of an image.
Perfect. That's how most of our files look like, anyways.
So you tried to say you're gonna have him all pixelated out, so you don't even know what the man looks like? Oh my god!
Even better.
This
Even
person
better than
did
that.
want to be seen.
We'll have them blocked out. I'll go through the editing and have the voice changer put on just for them. So I'll try and cut out all the speaking lines of the voice changer, and then I'll just delete the whole video file, put an hour and a half of a classified image, and just play the image with no sounds. Hello, we're here to interrupt the most interesting thing being said in our current video to ask you a favor, which is, would you mind joining us on any of the socials we have, such as Discord? We're hanging out all the time playing video games, so you can catch us there very frequently. We have I run Twitter for us, which is LionTurtle21 on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. It'll always be Twitter. But either way, there's that. We also have a Patreon, which we actually have a whole other show for our Patreon members, which are Aliquum and the newest addition to the bunch, Future Oracle,
Niche and Forbidden Zero, good friends of ours.
Yeah, thank you very much, you guys, for joining. It means a whole lot that you're there. And hope to see you there as well. We have a whole other show. There are some free ones we have released as well for the audio for you to listen to and to see what it's like. It's like a whole other show, so thank you. With that said, please enjoy the rest of your podcast on YouTube.
Well, at least you ain't going to do it like a document so you catch every other fifth word. That'd be confusing as hell. Not.
So,
what? This is confusing.
I have a question based on that little rant there. How many, I'm sure over time you have like in-character classified files and other stuff like that. How large is the file for those? Like all the different things players have wrote down, the classified documents, quote unquote, all those weird things from the roleplay. It must be
it depends. So it really depends. Like everyone can make their own character file, and they can select themselves which parts are blacked out, or sometimes nothing is blacked out. Some people have like an entire book written about their character, so when you look into the character files channel, it's an article just about them. Some people just write a few sentences, or just former Marine, which is the go-to for some people. Or it depends how much the researchers write about an anomaly, so all player dependent on how long a document is and how much is redacted.
So the research group makes the anomalies technically, if I understand correctly?
they don't make them, they just classify them. So if they figure out that something that the mobile task force captured is actually anomalous, then they put a containment class and a risk class and a danger class on it, write down containment procedures, how to keep it contained, and a little description about it. And then depending on security clearance, they make 4 or 5 versions of it with level 5 nothing is blacked out, and then level 0 has most of it blacked out, and then the higher your security clearance is, the more information is revealed to you, if there's anything to black out.
So that's actually really cool. You guys go through that much work to prepare an anomaly for a role play. How do you select the anomaly you wish to choose when someone is like, say, begins writing its existence and then submits it? How do you choose it, and how long is the process before you introduce it?
So the creation process depends entirely on the person creating it. But when it comes to approval and showing up, usually we have a set schedule for the units. So like every first month of the week, it's like Zeta, then Epsilon, then Nu, then Iota, then the researchers, and then it starts from the beginning again. So based on that, people know when a unit is coming up that the anomaly fits for. And that's usually when they, like a few weeks before that event is supposed to happen, they submit their anomaly document and an event idea how to implement the anomaly into the roleplay. And then our event planners will read the document and approve it. And then when the week comes where the unit that is supposed to face the anomaly has the event, then they have to be fast, because then they have to be the first ones to claim that slot. Or they can ask for a different time slot. Like usually people go for Fridays. But that doesn't always guarantee a maximum and maximum return in players, because it's an unusual time slot.
Okay. So how, after you approve it and create approve the anomaly for an event, how do you guys plan the event itself? Is there an avatar made for the submission? Do you guys make a certain story surrounding the idea? What happens with that, may I ask?
Sometimes people go the extra length and make all the avatars themselves. We even had one guy go. He went the entire mile. He went he made every single model, the anomaly, and the world that they were playing in all themselves. So it was entirely his event, and he was fully running it. So because he made the world, he was able to have triggers around the place, so that when a player steps on an invisible trigger, something would happen. So that was really unique for that event, because usually we use public worlds, because making a world for every single event is difficult and wouldn't work. So sometimes they use public models as well, and like I said, sometimes you even have to ask world create, because their world fits so perfectly. We ask them if they could raise the player count for us, and most of the times they do that.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they even request that we capture the event for them on video and send it to them, which we do.
Oh, wow. That's really awesome that the public world creators will accommodate you guys like that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, they really have no reason to do so. Most of them have never heard of us, but they do it, and we thank them, we credit them at the end of the event. Sometimes they ask to spectate, and we allow them. We usually don't really allow spectators for main events, because that could sometimes lead to unforeseen consequences, like people interfering with the event. But we always make an exceptions for the world creators, because they make it possible in the first place.
So, I'm actually curious, what was the event that player made, and how many unique events have you guys had like that, or anything close to?
The event that guy made, his name is James. He made a place like this, but where a containment breach happened and all the anomalies escaped. And he sent the researchers in, the ones that don't have guns. And he did a lot of work with lighting, with like fog effects. He had dead bodies on the floor. So using the fact that he made the world, he was able to, like Gary's Mod horror maps, basically like that, but better than your usual Gary's Mod horror map. So that was a unique event for the researchers because it was actually like jump scares and stuff that you don't really have in public worlds. And we had a few events close to it where people made a lot of avatars for the events. Like they took the models that we usually use, but just modified them that they can explode. So that during that event, like someone's head explodes and you don't really expect that. So
Okay.
using avatars, we sometimes get close, but I still give it to the guy who made a map for an event.
That sounds.
He didn't have to do
really
it, but he did it.
That sounds really awesome. How did the researchers that was sent in react to that event? Was it memorable to them?
It's their favorite mission, and it was a few years ago. Some of them are still around, and they keep telling the tale of the mission, and they do want another mission like that, but it's difficult finding a world creator who would just do that for free.
Okay. So what happened during that event? Like, how did the anomalies come? How did the anomalies get loose? What was the storyline of that event specifically? Because it sounds really interesting, like a really nice thing for that person to do.
So if I remember correctly, I hope I do, the researchers were sent to this place, this facility, to study an anomaly that was there. But while they were in transit, something went wrong. Nobody was alive to warn the researchers that something went wrong in that place, so they landed, walked in, everything dark, dead bodies everywhere, so they had to find their way out and had to escape the anomaly, which was played by an actor.
Ooh. So how many people play anomalies in your group? Or do you have staff who do it specifically?
It depends. If it's a specific anomaly that was created by a person that went to the whole approval process, then only that person is usually allowed to play it, unless they have approved someone else of playing the anomaly. But otherwise, if we make like one-time anomalies for like for an event, then anyone can really do it. We do have an actor ranking system based on how good someone is at improv, and usually the main anomaly, the main enemy, is played by the higher levels. And playing as an anomaly and acting gives you actor credits. It's like a motivation that we give to people to show up to play NPCs. And based on those credits, you get perks and unique stuff, like you can buy custom Discord roles or create a second character so that you can have like an MTF character and a research character, and you can play them whenever you want.
Okay. So has that acting system worked well for you, getting people to play NPCs and non-player characters?
Before we had that system, we had like an actual crisis where we had to run events with only like 4 or 5 people staffing the events, which includes playing NPCs and DMing. The moment we implemented that system, everyone wanted to act, to like gain the ability to make a second character, get custom roles. So it definitely helped.
Oh, wow. So how many people before or played, and then after, how many signed up to become an NPC or an actor?
So usually everybody who is part of the unit that plays gets to play, so we don't force people out of their roles to act. So we always let everyone play. But actors, sometimes we have like, depending on who's going in, we have more actors than players. So that's a really good turnout of that system.
Hmm.
So I'm glad that we implemented that.
It sounds unique because I've talked with a few different people, and it seems like NPCs can be a tough thing to sell to one of your members, I guess is a way to put it, because you're not really partaking as the main person. You're not really having a story, you're just kind of like the barkeep or a person. So the fact that you got more interactions with that system is, I think, kudos to you guys.
Yeah, it's like I forgot what I wanted to say, but
Okay.
1 second.
It's okay. Take your time. There's no rush for it. How many do players have any favorite NPCs to play or interact with since you guys introduced that system?
There are some NPCs that have actually stuck around with the players, sometimes because some random actor got like captured by the mobile task force and got brought back to the site. So now they work for us, and basically that way, from just showing up to act, that guy earned a free secondary character because now they have someone who works for the foundation. So yeah, there are some favorites. Dear UIU agents that we currently have in custody, they show up sometimes. They are liked by some people. Uh, just like just like the Anomaly, some people have their favorite NPCs to interact with. Some of them are hostile, some of them are like from other organizations, or some of them are just from departments that we have, where we have no players, and like we have an intelligence office that gives us intel on what's currently going on around the world, and that's only staffed by NPCs and not players.
Oh, wow. So I have another random question in terms of NPCs. Have you ever had any NPCs that started as an NPC but made it as the main player?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a few guys captured from hostile factions, and then during the interrogation, they either like broke down and like saw that what we are doing is better than what their organization is doing, so they joined up with us. Or there was one case where we kind of had to force the person to work for us, so they stuck around as a player until we had to send their character away. So we took them out back.
Okay. So after hearing all of these stories and your player interactions and you running it this long, what has been your driving force to help keep this community going and keep on producing content for it? What keeps you here so long?
The sunk cost fallacy. I've put so much time into this place that I need to keep putting more time into it. But I enjoy it here. Like my goal is to do this at least for 10 years, so up to 2029 January, and I hope that I will stay active. But so far, I'm enjoying my time, and I hope others are enjoying their time as well.
Okay.
So it's mainly the thing that keeps me going is like some of our members are only still playing VRChat because of us. Some of them made friendships that translated to IRL, and just hearing about those things, making those things possible, is just a great experience to have. And the interactions with the other like communities that do RP is.
Oh wow.
It's an experience that that I wouldn't want to give away.
I don't blame you. Did you expect any of the interactions or it to go this long, or the SCP Foundation kind of has been? Did you expect any of this all when you first were approached by that gentleman?
No, I.
Sorry, camera's broken. Sorry. Sorry. Here you go.
It's okay. No, I didn't expect any of it. Like back in 2019, the only real RP groups I knew of were like LPD and maybe some of the early waifu groups, and that's it. So I never thought this would turn into anything big. But then around 2020, when COVID hit, all those other groups started to rise up, and we also got a lot of people because of COVID, and many of those people actually stuck around, and uh, some of them are here for 5 years, just like me.
Oh, wow.
Some have been here from the start. Yeah.
How do you feel watching the SCP Foundation grow for these years and watching people stay through COVID, where it started, where it's now, having the servers go up and all the organization and storylines that you've built? How does it feel from your position being one of the people who started it, watching it grow?
So we actually had a watch party recently where we showed our first ever event, and just recognizing some of the voices. Like the voices of us have changed so much, mostly because of different headsets and stuff, but also many of us went through like stages of life. It's been 5 years. Like when I started, I just came out of school, just got like I had my first job for a year back then, and many people were in school who are now having jobs and stuff, and it's just weird to see this growth. Like I can't really put it in words. It's like no other game has given me this experience.
So it seems that your experience here in VRChat has left lasting impressions on you.
Oh yeah, like for how long? 6 years since 2018. Yeah, 6 years. It's the longest game I've ever played. So, and I don't want to leave it. So yeah, it's a lasting impression.
So I'll ask you this then. What are some of your most memorable moments here in the platform VRChat? What kind of things stick with you as a person?
Definitely like, especially in the early days in 2018, when you booted up the game and it immediately placed you into a hub world, a public hub, and all those people were just there and they were doing all their things. Back when public lobbies were like alive. Well, they're still alive, but they're back then alive. That is still something I miss to this day. And yeah, just the people and the friendships that were made. Sometimes it makes me sad looking back at my friends list and see those people that I still have all of the memories from 2018, but they haven't been online for 5 years. So those kind of memories and impressions are the one that last.
I'm sure. With that said, how do you feel seeing VRChat grow with you and the SCP Foundation? I'm sure it's a very different platform from when you started.
It definitely is. I think VRChat, many people will say it got worse, but I think it got better. Like all the performance ratings and avatar hiding, especially EAC. Once EAC came out, everybody was flaming it, but I think public lobbies became playable again because all the crashers went away. Not because EAC did anything, just the people stopped playing. So that was great. But yeah, the SCP Foundation also went through so much change, some of which I liked, some of which I didn't like, but in the end, we now have a consistent schedule, we have a consistent player base, everything is just going up, and recently we started doing events with other RP groups, so that's something we are currently exploring.
What have been some of your more favorite collabs you've done with the SCP Foundation, and what happened?
We had a collab with the LPD back in 2021, where we we sent everyone out in public worlds where we had pre-placed actors, and the LPD squads found the anomalies, brought them into the site where our guys would take over, or they would be paired with our units and then venture out. Sometimes they would even bring like just random people back from those worlds that we would then lock up. That was fun. And recently we have been doing a lot of stuff with Lab Unit, which is a mercenary RP group, military stuff, also with anomalies. It's actually where I got this thing from. And yeah, like we're working on it. It's difficult to have two different groups with two different canons, two different methods of dealing with things like injuries. Like medics were completely different in the groups, but we're trying to make it work. We are still working on fixing some flaws, but it's going.
Well, I'm sure even those differences may make things very unique. Like, for example, having two different medics with two different methods of healing people try and help the same person sounds like an interesting roleplay experience too.
Oh, it is, and it's a challenge as well because they're all like hit calling. Like in our group, we call every hit for the players. They are so spoiled by that when a lab unit AOD didn't call stuff, they like sometimes ignore the shots, which can happen, but shouldn't. But it's like they're used to different things than the other players are, so that's something that we need to work on. But also, I forgot what I wanted to say again.
Well,
but it's right. We also, because the public lobbies are more playable again now, it's like we send them into public lobbies sometimes when we do those lab collabs, where they then have to find an informant and have to interrogate them with all the public world stuff going on around them, like in Black Hats or Great Parks. There was this one interview they had to have with the guy in the Great Park, and while they were talking to them, a whole different group came in, like a dance club or something. Then they turned the entire second floor of the Great Park into a dance floor, and everyone was dancing. There was music, and those military guys were trying to have a conversation with this dude, trying to figure out information.
It sounds like a very memorable experience. Since you've mentioned you've done public lobby hops with two separate people, what have been some of the favorite experiences of the people who've done them? What's happened? What were the unwilling participants in the whole thing? What was their reaction to SCP-Foundation showing up?
Most people, and I'm actually quite happy about that, are completely unaware of our existence. So when they see people showing up with like SCP gear, they're like surprised that it is even a thing, or don't even know what it is. And I'm also surprised that most people go along with the bit. Like they notice that people are RPing and they just they don't interrupt it. They sometimes even like join in, get arrested, get taken to one of our worlds, get put into containment, and they're happy to be part of the experience. Of course, there are people that don't want to, but we have to rule that if someone actively states that they don't want anything to do with us, then we leave them alone.
So you mentioned you've pulled some of those willing participants into the world to be interrogated and then arrested. What would you mind telling us of one of those experiences that happened, and what happened with the player? How did the interrogation go? Because I'm kind of curious as to like someone who's not used to SCP being pulled into SCP. What was that like?
I have to remember. There was this one like one of the people being brought in by the LPD during that collab was like a guy, an e-boy, who like wasn't like walking. He had like a floating animation when he walked around. So they captured him because of that. And when we put him into a cell, we explained to him that, sir, you're levitating, you're floating. and then he tried to talk himself out of it, and then we had to show him that he's floating, and he still tried to deny it, like as if he was being interrogated by the police, and like he tried to deny everything, no involvement. So yeah, eventually we just kept him in the cell, and he was constantly like talking up the guards, trying to get out. So that that was a fun experience.
I'm sure it was a fun experience. Would you
He
ever
was
want?
eventually let out.
Oh, really? He was. Well,
Oh yeah, one of the guards gave in because he got annoying, so he just opened the door and told him to fix it.
He bored him to death. Oh my God, or nagged him to death. Oh my God. I'm out of here. Hey, at least I know if I ever get captured, at least I know how to get out.
You do realize now, Raptor,
Yeah,
there's a mute button. They can just mute you and you're dealt with.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Are we there yet?
Damn mute
Are we
button.
there yet? Are we there yet? Are we
Are we
there
there Can I get out? Can I get out? Can I get out? Can I get out? I gotta go pee. Can I get out? I gotta go pee. Yeah, right.
Would you ever do more collabs like that with the lab or the LPD?
We have talked to the LPD recently, but because both of our groups have grown in numbers, like back then we had like 250 people, now we have 2,500. So managing, like, we already fill lobbies with 80 people, and I know the LPD needs multiple instances to host events. So that's a logistical nightmare that we weren't ready to face yet. So we didn't go through with that, but with Lab Unit, we are constantly doing stuff. We have done a lot of stuff recently, so we currently put that on break so that it's like not too much and too short of a time span. But we are open to work with other groups and figure out the reason why whatever group would work with the SCP Foundation on a goal.
So, also as another question for you as well, do you guys do public hops on your own, or is it only with the like lab unit or LPD you would do public world hops?
Not officially, but our members can always add their own events to the schedule. They are then being marked as community events, so that means that there probably won't be admin oversight, so anything could happen. Yeah, they are always free to host a world-hopping event. We did that. I think we stopped last year because nobody was really doing them anymore, but we did do a lot back when the backrooms worlds were populated. So we had a lot of explorations to the backrooms or similar worlds, liminal spaces.
I feel like the SCP Foundation and the backrooms seem like a really good fit for one another.
We had quite a few explorations into the backrooms. All of those missions ended up in at least one person dying. But those were some of the most scariest missions because everything is so tight. There's like a corner everywhere. Something pops up from somewhere. We have quite overused the backroom, so we put a break on it for now.
I can understand that. They got really popular at one point. So I'm going to ask you this now, the last couple questions before we start wrapping up. First is, where did your name come from? And why do you use it?
Oh, my real name is Alex, so I just removed the A from the name.
Ah, okay. That's pretty simple. And the avatar you use or you main, what keeps you using it? And why did you choose it?
So this is the Wolfaria avatar from Booth, and I use it because back when I got full body tracking, this was the first model that I used to test a full body in, and it worked so perfectly well. It fits my body proportions better than every other model that I have, so it's what I keep using.
Oh, wow. Well, again, Lex, thank you very much for joining us and letting us in and hearing all about the SCP Foundation and how you got into it. So thank you. It's been an absolute honor. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, that's great.
Where can the audience find you or the SCP Foundation if they wish to find you?
Either in one of our worlds, we have our Discord links all over the place, or just directly discord.gg/scpvrc.
Alrighty. Well, all of that will be in the Hoobly What's It down below. And a question for you, the audience. Are you aware of the phenomena that is SCP? And if so, let us know some of the things that have stuck with you, either by reading, watching YouTube videos, the video games. I know those are out there too. Let us know. We'd love to read all about them down
We
below.
have worked with some of the game devs.
Really? How'd that go? What was their thoughts on the whole thing? Oh, you got a closing. I need even more. Whatever. Let's go.
So being SCP and VR, and many VR game devs actually play VRChat, we've been approached by quite a few to like have our players playtest their games, give them ideas what they would like to see in a VR SCP game. And we have helped with promoting some of them and just giving ideas. In one of those games, some of our members are actually voice actors in.
Oh,
So that's
wow.
great.
Wow.
Nice.
In the game of, I forgot the name. They're all on Steam. I can give you the link so that you can put them in the description.
Of course. I'd be more than happy to put those links in the description for you to find. Down that way. More fun stuff for you to click. I know everyone hates going down there, but please.
In one of those games, they even put our SCP VR logo into below one of the staircases to find. And when you go up to the vending machine, some of those drinks that you can get from that are like created by people in our community.
Oh, wow. So the game devs like full on support what you guys are doing then with the whole SCP Foundation, the roleplay.
Yeah, they've came to us for advice, and we do what we can to help them.
Oh, wow. Well, that's really awesome. I'm glad to hear that they support you guys and they're approve of this. That's amazing, especially with how they're like so willingly incorporated you in with their games as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. That's one of the things I never thought would ever happen, that like we would work with game devs, but apparently it did.
Ooh. Well, that's really amazing, and hopefully all of these cool things you're up to continues. It's like from some of the explorations through Fest or VRCon, I've seen your booth around, and it looks really sick. And I was always curious about it. I remember talking to some people about it, and I'm glad you guys are still here. The impact is obvious.
Me too. We actually show up on the VRChat iceberg video that is up on YouTube. We are somewhere down in the depths because we keep what we do, like with all the security clearance stuff. People that just joined the server to take a look don't see much, and that's actually kind of nice because it keeps the secrecy that the SCP Foundation has.
That's really amazing. Well, again, Lex, thank you so much. I forgot the question for you guys. Oh yeah, I remember. What is your interactions with SCP, both online, video games, even from the community, the SCP Foundation? Let us know. I'd love to hear your stories or what things you like. With that said, Mr. Raptor, you know the thing.
No matter what, folks, we always say, no matter what you create or what you do and everything else like this and what you can do and everything else like this. But this man over here, Lion, wants to see me be arrested by a group like this. If you think they can catch me, give them hell. I'd like to find out if they can. We'll talk to you later on the flip side. Bye.
Hold on. I'm not closing that yet. All right, you role players, if you see a raptor in a public lobby, I give you full permission to roleplay arrest him, and please record it and put it in the Metaverse Degen Discord. I want to see what happened. Thank you. All right, bye-bye.